So for the very first time, I felt very burnt out on The Walking Dead and everything that's kind of happened and all the news. It did a lot. It did the opposite of what I think it was supposed to do, where it was the only news in the off season has just been surrounding Andrew Lincoln's decision, where it was kind of spoiled early on that he was leaving the show, and that's kind of what it became. Usually when this show's off the air and we're gearing up towards the next season, we're just kind of talking about speculation. It's kind of like an exciting season of the NFL or something ends, and then you're excited for draft day and free agents and all this stuff. But there was a huge cloud that kind of surrounded this offseason for The Walking Dead, and frankly, I've felt very kind of put off by it, kind of burnt out about it. So I did want to do, not to be a big negative Nancy or anything, but I did kind of want to set the table a little bit to where my mind frame has been for the lack of content with The Walking Dead and even Fear the Walking Dead. And we're going to get into all that in a little bit. However, something huge happened today, and it was just absolutely tragic and terrible. John Schnepp from Collider Heroes, Death of Superman Lives, a filmmaker, avid comic fan, film fan, been on the Schmodown a bunch of times. Like I said, Collider Heroes, all that great stuff. The tragic, way too young age of 51 years old. Suffered a massive stroke, a catastrophic stroke, and couldn't come back from it, couldn't kick it. So Big John Schnepp, fortunately dead at 51. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. It's just the last big con. I do a lot of stuff with Magic, and GP Vegas is kind of like the Comic Con for Magic the Gathering. And when that was going on a couple months ago or a month ago, that's when everything happened with Wedge. And now now this is so much. This isn't even in the same boat. I feel for Wedge, and I hate that happened, but he's going to make it out, and he's going to live hopefully a long life, a long, healthy life. And but Schnepp is not, and it's just terrible. It's I've never met him personally. But it's when you're in this kind of space, you're in this kind of same thing that we're doing here. It's content creation game, especially if you're talking movies or comic books, which The Walking Dead is. How it started is being a comic book. It's just you're always one or two people removed from somebody, and I'm definitely maybe one person removed, a couple of people removed from John Schnepp. So someone that I've interacted with on social media, of course, but it's just even before I started this whole content creation thing, this whole YouTube channel, I religiously watched Collider back in the day, and it's just crazy to think that one of that family is no longer here, and it just sucks, and it's heartbreaking. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the chat real quick, just because it looks like we got a Schnepp comment. So before we move on, I do want to address it. Flippin' Zippo just says, "Hey fellas, hey, what's up? Hello." But yeah, it's just absolutely terrible. Brother in arms, like I said, you whether you get along with everyone or you don't even know everyone personally, you feel like you share something when you're doing this kind of thing, and you're in this kind of space. So to lose again, John Schnepp gone way too early. So yeah, that I just want this is a Walking Dead thing, and I wanted to talk Walking Dead, and I don't even expect a whole lot of people in the chat, just because it's kind of at a late hour. This is kind of a late night, so if you're here, cool, let's hang out and talk. And I even brought a special guest with me, a free my PA, just because especially when I'm doing these kind of things alone, it's always nice to be not only interacting with the chat but interacting with my barley and hops as well. So I've had this one before. Doesn't mean it's not awesome. I did get it from Christian from Northwest Beverage, so thank you, sir. So now back in the world of The Walking Dead. So, like I said, we just, it wasn't far removed from doing a show about Walking Dead. Zeus Tuber and I, Allot came on, and we kind of broke down everything. We kind of gave some pre-speculations as to what was going to be announced at Comic-Con and to what was coming, what we thought, giving our complete speculations on what is to become of the show, if anything is to become of this show, because this show is Epic Zombie Killer. Hey, thought the trailer was great. Yes, we will talk about that very shortly. But Zeus Tuber and I kind of talked about it and where we think and how we think that the show could go on with Andrew Lincoln leaving the show. But then rumors started coming out, and people like Ronnie Hayes and some other people kind of came on from Make a Path Presents. They said that they got sources saying that maybe we kind of rang the death knell a little quickly, maybe a little prematurely. So there was talks that maybe all this was false, and I did get a little excited about that, and I'm not saying it's Ronnie's fault, because sources or whatever, whoever told them something, and it seemed like it was a kind of a reputable source, although he couldn't divulge it, but whatever, I digress. Said that there's a possibility that Andrew's staying on, so. And that did get me excited, and I kind of fell for that because since hearing that news, it just sounds so stupid because it's a TV show, right? But this is a TV show that everyone's the people that are still in it, and the people like myself, like Zeus Tuber, like Alex from The Walking Bread, like Ronnie Hayes, like Trev, we pour our heart and soul into this TV show because it kind of transgresses that. It becomes this phenomenon. And even though I've given it shit, and so everyone gives the show shit, and a lot of people have jumped ship rather, because we hold it very near and dear to our hearts. And when they make weird, poor decisions, which I still think the Carl decision was, we get angry. When they make just kind of bizarre choices, like the season finale of season 8, I get angry. We get angry. Just watching two grown men run around a tree, it was a little unclimactic, especially when they followed up with Fear the Walking Dead season 4 premiere and how great that was. So it's all these things. It's not, I don't complain because I hate the show. It's quite the contrary. I complain because I like the show and I like talking about it. But I for some reason I couldn't get over this Andrew Lincoln thing, and it felt like it just sucked the wind out of my lungs. And but then today, actually last night, there was an interview. Kevin Smith interviewed Robert Kirkman, and he kind of asked him straight up. First question of the interview is Andrew Lincoln done? And Robert Kirkman kind of gave that weird face. He's just like, oh yeah, I think so. I think this is it. Like almost just like, yeah, I can't believe it myself. So that was like confirmation right there, which was a bummer, but it was fun seeing Kevin Smith and Robert Kirkman together. Fortunately, with everything going on with Chris Hardwick, it looks like maybe Kevin Smith will be fulfilling that role. I am not upset at all. I mean, hell, I did a whole director's cut on Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith to death. I still love what Chris Hartman did as well, but that's a story for another show, another kind of show. But yeah, so we got confirmation pretty much yesterday, pertaining to, in Comic-Con setting, that Andrew is done. And we did get an official statement, so to speak, that, confirming it from Andrew Lincoln's mouth from the con. And I have it right here. And if anyone hasn't read it, and I apologize, I can't pull it up on the screen, but I do want to read it. And that says, this is from Andrew Lincoln. This will be my last season playing the part of Rick Grimes. I love this show. It means everything to me. I love the people who make this show. I'm particularly fond of the people who watch this show. And then he did, that was just kind of the tweet. So maybe there was more, but that was just as much as they could fit into a tweet. But there was more. He said that, yes, this will be my last season of The Walking Dead. However, I'm far from done with the character Rick Grimes. So, it's that little glimmer of ambiguity. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. That little glimmer of hope that's probably just screwing with our emotions, but whatever. I'll chew up whatever little morsel I can. However, so all that happened. So that was the big bummer. But then we got it wasn't all bad coming from Comic-Con. Because that confirmation, that interview with Robert Kirkman and everything with Andrew Lincoln, we still got some trailers. And the trailers, especially the people in the chat, Epic Zombie Killer, pointed out that the trailers were actually fantastic. So, I want to talk about kind of what we've seen from both trailers, because not just The Walking Dead, but Fear the Walking Dead's coming back. And of course, that's the second half of season 4, which started out so strong, and I really hope they continue. I have no problem with talking about the Fear trailer first. I watched them both many times, and just kind of the takeaway, there wasn't a lot to really sit down, dissect, and discuss with the Fear the Walking Dead trailer, and that's kind of a bummer, because it just kind of looks like what is left of the surviving cast of Fear the Walking Dead, and the only original members, which is Alicia and Strand, even though Strand was introduced later on in season 1, so he's not one of the real OOGs, but he's still, at this point, he's the veteran, only second fiddle to Alicia. She's the only Clark left. It just kind of looks like they're just going through the motions. It looks like they're meeting up with different people on the road. It looks like Luciana has kind of gone off maybe to do her own thing, and she says she's got to make up for past mistakes, where she's helping that gentleman in the car. And then there's a quote from Alicia, and she says something along the lines of, how are we going to find them if we can't find ourselves? Something like that. But it made it seem like, whoever she was with, and it looked like it was her and Strand, are out trying to look for possibly Lucy, because of that connection. It does still show that the little girl is there. We have a moment. I can't believe I forget the little girl's name either. Yeah, I'll get to the whisper comment in a minute, but I can't believe I can't remember the little girl's name, that, and this is full spoilers because we're talking about everything, but the little girl Vulture, so to speak, the one that kills Nick, she's completely just hanging out with the group. And I like the way the trailer started. It was, John building something or chopping some wood, and then a waterlogged walker kind of sloshes on shore, and he's just go, oh man, I hate the wet ones. So let me first say that I am so happy that they made the decision to keep John alive, because I thought that was a real thing that was going to happen, where they were going to eliminate besides Morgan, the best character that they have left. Because even though Alicia is one of the OGs, she's never my favorite. She definitely has her moments. Again, I will always sing the praises. One of my favorite episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, if not my favorite episode of Fear the Walking Dead, is the one at Broke Jar Camp, or Broke Jar campground or whatever, with her in the bunker, kind of having to kill all the bitten people one by one while everyone's suffering from oxygen deprivation. That episode is just absolutely fantastic, and I thought she did personally a great job in that role. So it's not like I hate Alicia or anything, and I actually love Strand too. Strand's always a lot of fun. However, it's just it just looks like they're taking the spotlight, especially in this season. They haven't really let Strand be Strand too much, a little bit in the flashbacks, but it looks like, and this is a huge shift that I noticed just from the trailer, is that it looks like the flashbacks are pretty much over. So I think the flashbacks kind of wrapped up with Madison's storyline, as unfortunate as that one winded up. But So it does look like a lot of, there's some cool walker effects. I'm glad, again, I've said this before, that Fear the Walking Dead is now on par walker wise as regular Walking Dead, and it looks like, even the songs, just like kind of everything's the same. Everyone's just going through the motions. Everyone's just kind of surviving in this thing. But then, you sense this big tonal shift when during that kind of rainstorm, and you see those walkers just kind of like get zip tied out of there. It looks like, they're making a bad joke on stage, and they get the hook. It looks like maybe they got caught up in a propeller or something. I don't know. It's going to be fun to see. And it looks like one of them has, or this new group rather, also has some kind of a big vehicle, whether it be a big van or a big truck, and they have one of the walkers kind of taped to the grill, like, like garbage men put stuffed animals, like Lotso in Toy Story 3. Spoilers for Toy Story 3. So it does look, it looks a little bit lighter at times, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes these shows can get so bogged down with just, people talking in rooms seriously and quietly. So it is kind of fun to see a walker kind of chained up to the grill of a truck. These shows could stand for a little bit more fun. We got some cool Morgan scenes. Even though, he didn't have his bow staff, he had a shovel, and he's still not taking no guff. You still can't pull a blade on Mr. Morgan Jones. He disarmed that lady very quickly and efficiently. But it looks like he's going back to the crazy side a little bit, which, again, I'm not complaining, where he's writing his mantra on his forehead in the mirror in the bathroom. So all in all, I was, like I said, I was a little bit, I wouldn't say disappointed, because but I would say, I don't know. I don't want to say disappointed. And I don't want to say let down, because I think those are too harsh, because it's not true. I was a little underwhelmed, I think, because of how freaking strong season 4 of Fear, the first half, was just balls to the wall. Ton of fun. And like I said before, kind of unpopular opinion, but I thought that it was even more fun than season 7 of regular Walking Dead, especially the way it wrapped up. But yeah, season 4 1A or season 4A of Fear the Walking Dead, they did a lot of stuff. They killed a lot of people. They wrapped up a lot of storylines. So I hope this isn't just them kind of going through the motions and surviving and getting to a point where it's going to wrap up. There's no word yet that this is going to wrap up the show at the end of the season. So we'll just have to see. Yeah, I made the little girl comment earlier. It's driving me nuts. Charlie, thank you. Charlie, she's having a Lizzie moment, and she's getting right up to that walker on the deck, and tempting fate that way. So we're going to see if young Charlie gets to smell or look at the flowers and gets capped. How do you feel about the first seasons of Fear? First 2 seasons of Fear? And I have my co-host, and my buddy, my pal at arms at this, Dead Guy Ty, and we did a complete 2-show rundown of Fear the Walking Dead, where we talked about every single season in depth. But, I'm not trying to make you go watch those. But long story short, I really liked the first season, even though it wasn't what I feel like they sold us. I felt like it was going to be more in LA and more about the genesis of this virus and all this stuff, but it kind of wasn't. But it still was fairly good and fairly entertaining. I liked seeing, I liked season 1 a lot, even though it was 6 episodes, had some great Fear episodes. Season 2, I thought, was complete horseshit. I thought it was boring. I hated the stuff on the boat. I hated the stuff off the boat. I just didn't like pretty much anything from season 2. Season 3 was gangbusters. Season 3 was absolutely fantastic. I loved almost all of it. I mean, there were some moments, but I loved it that it went some really different routes. It didn't wrap up the best, but it did some fear and loathing kind of things with Nick and oh man, it's been so long. This is why I got to keep talking. See, this is reason enough to come on here every week still talk about Walking Dead, because now I can't remember names. But It's not Grant. What the fuck's his name? I don't remember. Anyways, but seeing Nick and his pal that Madison, knocks to the side of the head with a hammer, kind of do the adrenal gland walk around. I don't know. There's just a lot of fun to be had in Fear the Walking Dead season 3. And like I stated just now, season 4A has been great. So now let's kind of dive in. Lastly, let's kind of dive into the trailer for season 9 and kind of pick it apart a little bit, at least from the top of my head. I didn't take any notes, but I did watch it like 5 times. And I just felt the need to make a video and talk about it, just because there is a lot of interesting things that happen. So it's man, it looks like summer camp, right? So it looks like the Saviors and Alexandria and the Hilltop and everyone are just kind of in different spots. But this is kind of foretelling. It has that quick shot of that like street sign thing where you see in kind of like old movies or old westerns where they literally have planks that are shaped as like arrows. One of them points to HQ. HQ might, I don't know where HQ is. There's Alexandria, there's Hilltop, there's Oceanside, and then there's Toledo. So that was one of the most interesting things from this trailer where and I even think I saw a picture of that, or I heard someone mention it or something before I saw it, but just seeing it for myself in the context of the trailer, I was like, oh crap. So we're already starting Toledo, which is very interesting, because so maybe Fergie or Frenchie or whatever her name was will be back and play a bigger role sooner than later. But the biggest thing, the thing that I watched the trailer while I was still at work. I was on a break, so it's not like I was doing anything wrong. But I had my headphones in. I was sitting at the coffee shop, and and then I see Maggie holding a baby, and I'm like, she did have the baby. Like, finally, like it does exist. Hashtag Maggie, where's the baby is answered. Maggie has the child. So Glenn Jr. is born. Herschel, hopefully his name will be. We get to see a lot older Judith. So it looks like the time jump absolutely happened. And it looks like it's probably, it's not as long as a time jump as in the comic books in What Comes Next storyline, but a time jump it is. And that was kind of nice to see. Season 9 trailer was far better than the season 8 trailer. You got that damn right. Yeah, it was the season 8 trailer was still fun, which we did a trailer reaction to that. It was fun, but it was kind of schlocky, just like the first couple episodes of season 8 were like a action, like a bad action movie, but still fun. I still appreciated it. And like I said before, when this show wants to be fun, I'm all for it, even if it is like zoom cuts and craziness. I enjoyed them. They were a little tonally a mess, but I enjoyed them quite a bit. But however, this season, it looks like at least a predominant bit of the storyline so it looks like it's gonna take place during the time jump in the comic book, because if you do read the comic book, and we are going to talk a little bit about spoilers, it's not a huge thing or anything. Right after All Out War and stuff, there's that big jump and to pretty much get us to what comes after in Whisper Wars, and it's years. It's a couple years. So it doesn't look like it's that long, and it looks like the events kind of take place during what we've skipped over, except for what we see teased at the very end of this trailer, which I can't wait to talk about. Yeah, good point. The music was a lot of fun in this entire thing. So it already shows some confrontation between Maggie and Rick and Michonne. Maggie and Michonne are not getting along. Maggie tells Rick, at the end of this, you said you were going to follow me, but I wasn't a person to follow or something. And now I am. So it looks like she is asserting herself. as to be, you know, the unquestioned leader of the hilltop, and maybe she wants to be the unquestioned leader of more, because you know, now she has the baby, and she has a lot to protect. She has a lot of, you know, her people believe in her, but it looks like a lot of these people are in this camp, and even the sanctuary, it looks like Rick is taken care of, which is pretty sweet. You know, he's kind of committed to fixing that, and I think that's what the big MacGuffin is, at least for the first half of season 9, because if rumors are true, and I think they 99% are, it looks like Maggie, Lauren Cohen is done after 6 episodes. So nothing was confirmed as far as Andrew Lincoln's length of episodes. He might last the entire season. I don't know, unless, you know, someone heard differently. To my knowledge, I think Lauren Cohen's only signed on for 6 episodes, and then she's done. So it looks like that's what that's a lot of what we saw in this trailer. A lot of Lauren Cohen having the hilltop, Rick trying to still help the sanctuary, still keeping Negan. You know, that was the biggest comic book moment, I think, in the entire trailer, again, except for the very end, is Rick going down, having that conversation with Negan in the jail cell, which is great. But that did pose a question, because I remember while Morgan was building the jail cell in Alexandria, it was just a room. They just kind of walked in. There was no cool, you know, like scary movie stairs to get like a cool lighting effect. So yeah, he just opened the door and walked right in the other seasons while Morgan was building this thing, the jail cell. So maybe he's in a different jail cell. Maybe there was a flight of stairs we just didn't know about. Maybe they had to rebuild it completely because it got blowed up. I don't know, but that took me out of it a little bit, or that I was just like, wait a minute. I don't remember them being, you know, there being like cool, creepy stairs to walk down. But that's not the point. The point is, it was a cool comic book moment between Negan and Rick. And Negan's just like, you know, you think you got this. You don't know shit. I thought I did. Learn from my mistakes. And it looks like Rick is just showing a little bit too much hubris. He's just kind of maybe a little arrogant. Maybe that's some of the problems too, because, you know, when you're Michael Jordan or you're LeBron James and you're sinking everything you shoot at, and in this context of a zombie apocalypse, you survive for this long and you've saved these people, and you lost a lot of people. You lost your son, you lost your wife, you lost a lot of friends, countless friends. However, you're still looked at as the best that this world's got. The world needs Rick Grimes, right? Well, after a while, and especially after this little time jump of, you know, so many days without incident, not from season 3, but in this era of The Walking Dead, maybe Rick's getting a little lax, and maybe he's kind of puffing his chest out a little bit, especially to old boy Negan with a very fantastic looking beard. We don't get a clear shot of Negan in the trailer, but we do get a nice silhouette shot. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan could grow a fantastic beard. Just want to keep checking the chat too. How do you feel about Rick's new look? I like it. It looks very much like comic book Rick Grimes. I still wish that we got the cool hook hand, because I thought that was just so cool in the comic, but I guess Rick didn't, or Andrew didn't want to do it, or Greg Nicotero had better things to do, running 2 zombie shows, you know, making good effects. How dare he not want to deal with the CG on a missing arm too? You know, I'll give him a pass, I think. But yeah, it just looks like the first half is going to be a lot of turmoil between these two groups, and it looks like Daryl and Carol are finally happening, kind of becoming a thing. And from what I gather from the trailer, they have some real close moments, and then Daryl attacks some gentleman out of the tent, where Carol goes to the gentleman's rescue. So hey, maybe Carol is messing around on Daryl. Maybe the Care Dare, we're shipping Team Care Dare. Maybe it happened, But then maybe Carol wasn't such a good girl and started messing with a reformed savior or something. I don't know. But the same savior that Daryl's beating the crap out of in that scene with a frying pan, he must have been a big fan of Tangled, Rapunzel. It looks like that same guy was the one that Henry is knocking in the nuts with a bow staff. So I don't know. Maybe this guy is the kind of the bad Troy. Troy. The name popped in my head now. Of course, when I'm not talking about Fear, but maybe he's kind of the smoke and mirrors kind of villain or something. Maybe he's the one that's trying to get real close to Carol, but then and trying to get real close to Henry, but then doing stuff behind the back and being kind of a double agent. Speaking of double agents, Dwight completely not in this trailer. Dwight was completely omitted from this trailer. That's a bummer. I really want to see Dwight because I thought he was absolutely awesome. I think his name's Austin something, the actor. They better have Dwight, damn it, in this, especially if you're losing giant characters. Get Dwight back, and I think they will. I really do. We saw some cool shots of Andrew Lincoln whooping ass with the hatchet. Always welcome to see that. That's a cool scene. We do see him waking up with a walker in his face. Maybe that's telling. Maybe that's part of the death scene. Maybe he's already wounded or bitten or something, and he's in the middle of dying. And he's prone and he's vulnerable, and that walker kind of besets him, and of course something's going to happen, or maybe he goes out that way. Kind of fitting. That's kind of how Carl went out, kind of nondescript, just kind of doing the day-to-day walker cleanup, and you get bit sometimes. That's just the cards. I hope that's not something like Rick Grimes, because everyone keeps saying, Kirkman and Andrew Lincoln included, that they have something planned, something big planned. So let's hope that's the case. We see a lot of, Daryl's got, I mean, they are going to be force feeding us Daryl quite a bit now, because if reports are true, he's the new guy, right? He's the contract man. He is the new Kobe. And it just looks like they just run him in with a couple people. Like, it looks like he's probably in the beginning, he's Maggie's right hand. And maybe that's why he kind of flips, because it shows like him and Andrew Lincoln are riding off in the sunset on a motorbike, and when things are going right. But then later on in the trailer, it shows that he pushes the motorbike down. So I'm kind of thinking something like, because it shows like Maggie's up against a bunch of walkers at one point. Of course, that Sydney's up against a lot of walkers at some point. And that's just normal fare for these kind of shows. But, maybe Maggie is prominently featured in the first couple episodes, and then something happens. Something tragic happens to her. Maybe something tragic happens to her and Herschel, the boy. And that's why maybe, Rick or Daryl kind of starts challenging Rick, and maybe it's Rick's fault. Maybe something happens. And Daryl blames Rick for it. Because you get that conversation near the end where he's just like, "Are we on the same side?" And he goes, "I don't know. You tell me." Because maybe he could have done something to save Maggie, or whatever happens to Lauren Cohen's character. Maybe Daryl really blames Rick and puts all the guilt on Rick for it. And then then whatever happens to Andrew Lincoln's character, eventually Daryl's going to have all that guilt and all that stuff. So it's going to be, I'm happy. I mean, you have to, right? You have to give Daryl stuff to do if he's going to be your guy. I'm glad that he's just not kind of sweaty, brooding, smoldering redneck dude that everyone knows and loves, but they're actually give him some depth and some conversation, and for, character development, because he's going to be your new lead. So let's talk about Michonne real quick. A lot of it is just Michonne, kind of looking at arguing with Maggie, or just not really arguing, but just telling her to set up rules and whatnot. And then her looking at her sword, her holding Lucille at the end, which was a cool moment. Who knows? I mean, who knows what's up with that? Because Lucille looks nice and lubricated. So maybe she has to kill Rick, a turned Rick with it or something. Oh my God, what if she has to kill a turned Maggie with Lucille? Oh God, that would be just crazy. That would be nuts. Oh, that just gave me the chills. And now we're losing Maggie anyways. Now I want to see that. Now, oh my God, how heartbreaking would that be if Michonne had to put down a Walker Maggie with freaking Lucille? Oh, how crazy would that be? But we also get Magda and her group. I forget the people's name from the comic book, but I'm glad that they're putting them in there, showing, it seems like they're showing Magda in a certain light, like for the uninitiated. They're making her out to be maybe a little nefarious. She's like a little like night stalking ninja in this with the cool blade breaking into the place. But I don't think she's gonna be an antagonist at all. Let's talk about what we think the antagonist is gonna be. And you know what? I've had the theory that Madison Clark was going to be Alpha for the longest time. I thought that's what they were doing. And at this point, maybe Alicia, but I think that's a huge long shot now that we're in it now, right? I thought that's what they were grooming Madison for. And not just because she looks like the character in the comic book, but everything started lining up a little bit. The theory started to pan out. Now, not so much because, Madison is no more. So now it's featuring one of my horrible. I thought she was a terrible character, and that's Judas Priest. The artist formerly known as Judas Priest is walking around in very inconspicuous ways. She at first she's walking with Tara and it looks like they're just homies. She's got this new haircut, which kind of looks like a fucking wig, if I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, that's a good where you're gonna pull off a good wig like that in the zombie apocalypse. Hats off. Maybe Eugene made it or something, but it kind of does look like Eugene hair, but no. Anyways, I'm gonna get sidetracked. They're just sprinkling Jadis in. They, like I said, that kind of buddy scene. There's a scene where she's holding a gun at someone. There's a scene with the helicopter she's pointing to. So a lot of signs are really, really starting to point to Jadis kind of being if not the bad, a bad. And the bad I'm talking about is I think it's very, very possible that you're looking at your Alpha right now because, and God, I am so happy. And I slow rolled poor Epic Zombie Killer in the chat. And if Flippin' Zippo is still here, whoever else is in the chat, I slow rolled it enough. The end scene, which I like that they just kept giving us end scenes every time you thought it was over. It was like watching a MCU movie, right? It was just like constant after credit scenes. Oh, I love this scene. Talk about right out of the comic book. They even did the cool like a camera drag where it was like a point of view of the camera in the swamp, and then it just unnaturally gets like dragged towards these people. And at first, I thought that was Rosita. By the way, Rosita hot pants scene, holler, woo! But I don't think it is. It looks like a younger person. And I think it's younger than Sydney. I did see Enid in there. I don't think it's Enid. I think it's just someone that we don't know. Maybe these two characters that are hiding in the swamp are just kind of introduced and then they're done. They're probably not, long for this world because, they're just sitting there putting goop on their face. At first I thought it was zombie guts. And I'm like, oh no, not again. And Father Gabriel's eye. There's so much stuff that's popping in my head. I like that effect. I like Father Gabriel's eye. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, they're just kind of slopping mud on them. And then you hear it, where are they? And boom, we got the fucking whispers. I'm so stoked to see that because, and it looks like it the way it's shaped up, it looks like the first half of the season It looks like they're going to slow roll the hell out of it. It's going to be a slow burn. We're going to get these little tiny Easter eggs. We're going to get these little morsels and bits all throughout, because it's all going to be about this garbage civil war between the tribes, about the remaining saviors and the hilltop, and all these people trying to get along in this little campground. And Jerry's got his girlfriend, and everyone's happy, but then, little social squabbles. It's going to be a Jerry Springer show at first, with things just happening, and I think people getting picked off, and it's just going to be like, oh, this person was here a minute ago, but now they're not. And it's going to be all these little bits and pieces. And you even saw final warning written up on one of the walls, and because they tricked you, or at least they try to trick you. One of them says, like, "Saviors save us." That's just people that are just kind of upset with status quo, probably with whatever the New World Order is. But then there is a sign on the wall written in blood or whatever that says "Final Warning," and I think that is just like, you get off our land, or we're gonna make the picket fence, and guess whose head's gonna wind up on that picket fence? I mean, we all there's some ideas, right? And not obvious ideas on who's going to wind up on the wall, or on the pikes rather. It's crazy. There was also, I mean, it already threw us a little Easter eggs before the big reveal at the end of the trailer, of just showing and hearing the whisperers. We got there's a really subtle shot of just walker feet. And it's just walker feet shuffling. Go back and watch it. It's bleeding. Guess what? I don't think walkers really bleed like that. Or at least if they do, their blood gets coagulated really fast. All this stuff, it dries up. And why make it a point to show that? Whenever they show walker feet, they just show walker feet. They even did it in the same trailer where the walker is just kind of walking on those signs on that kind of turned over gate or whatever. Yeah, how about the picture with DC in the helicopter for sure? But yeah, they always make it a point to show just walker feet. It's just like a tension thing. They do it a lot. They do it a lot in Fear. It's just to show that, the impending doom is coming, or the threat is on its way, or it has arrived. But this one in particular, I swear, go back and see it. I bet that this is an injured whisperer, that something happened and this particular walker that's not a walker got stabbed, and you're seeing fresh human blood come out of this walker. And so that's what I'm saying. We're going to get a lot of those little subtle moments, which is cool. I love that. I love being rewarded for paying a lot of attention. And it looks like this trailer really asked you to do that, because there's a lot of shots, a lot of scenes, a lot of shots. There's a shot of Rick down on his knee, and he looks, it cuts off right about here, like right about where I'm cut off. And if you look down just a little bit, there's a big stain, could be blood, and he looks kind of punch drunk. It looks like he got his bell rung, and during that scene, and it's fast, it's blinking, you'll miss it. You see everyone, all the A-listers, charge and go past Rick. No one goes to Rick's aid. Everyone's going past Rick to meet some threat, whether that be a walker threat, whether that be a whisperer threat, whether that be another human threat, because it's a little misdirection there too, because it shows them, PvP, kind of people versus people, fighting on that little bridge that they're making, because it looks like some storm took out that bridge in that kind of shitty CGI scene. It's no deer, no bad CGI deer or anything, but it didn't look great. But yeah, I mean, it's just, again, look at the composition of that shot. I keep hitting my microphone. I'm all excited. Nick, oh my God, Rick is down on one knee, and like I said, he looks injured. He looks just out of it, defeated, whatever. And maybe everyone thinks, oh shit, he's a lost cause, or hey, this is the only way to protect him, is to keep whatever's coming at him away from him. But yeah, that was crazy. I'm just like, shit, something just happened. Something went down. I'm gonna look to the chat real quick. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything that you guys want to talk about? Do you think the Whisperers can save the show? That's huge. I don't know. So my point earlier is, I think that season 9A is like I said, is going to be all about this whole civil war with sprinkles of juicy bits of Whispers, but we're not going to get full on Whisper anything until maybe the second to last or last episode of 1A. Or of 9A rather, of the first half of the season. I think that's going to be the big hook to come back for second half. Because I mean, think about it. You know you're losing Maggie and you know you're losing Rick Grimes probably at the first half. So how are they going to do this? How are they going to keep this going? They're going to give you a big oh fuck moment and come back strong with just the Whisper War, or at least first half or first part of Whisper War all the time. So your question is, do I think the Whispers can save the show? I think that they can make the show very exciting. I think it's going to be a great return to horror. I think the Whispers put zombies, walkers back in the forefront of a zombie show, which they should, and which they did in the comic too, because even that storyline started getting very PvP, and the walkers and what was going on, the environment was really on the back burner, kind of what's going on now with Commonwealth, but it's still okay. I mean, it's not terrible or anything. It's just I like when this is kind of a return to form when the walkers are the threat, even if half the walkers are human. All right, let's see what else. But Alpha was just cast. They cast Samantha Morton as Alpha. Okay, so I stand corrected. I thought it would be cool with Jadis. Maybe that's a fake out. I mean, who knows? I don't know. You never know. You never know until you know, right? And until they say this person is Alpha and this, that, and the other thing, anyone's up for grabs. And maybe Jadis is just kind of, maybe she's not an antagonist, maybe she is part of the group, but I feel like it just showed her in these little nondescript ways, hanging out with Tara and doing all this stuff, and then her role got a little bit more nefarious as the trailer went on, with the helicopter and with the gun and everything. Hey, hell, maybe she's the connection to Toledo. Who knows? Maybe that's what Toledo is. The helicopter people. A couple more from the chat. Yes, I agree. It's funny. Season 6, early 7. I hated Dwight, but they redeemed him, and now I love him. Absolutely. I think Maggie will just leave. Angela King did say that she's interested in getting Maggie back later. I don't know. That's a tough one. If they do something like that, I mean, it's got to be huge. And don't give me any Heath bullshit, because I heard reports that the guy that plays Heath, they just will not have him back on. So that's just a thread that's just gone forever, and it will never get picked back up. So, and you never know, maybe her show that she's leaving for, I don't think it's going to, but becomes this huge success, and she just literally can't come back. And Dana Ganai, there's no way that she's going to be on the show for very much longer. She is blowing the hell up with all the MCU stuff, and she's and other stuff, because she's a fantastic actress. And it just sucks, because it just feels like the show is kind of becoming a farming system for other projects at this point. My only question is, what are they going to do with Lydia, Alpha's daughter? Great question. That's why I thought it was perfect if the Clark family was going to be that. But it just doesn't look. It can't be that now, right? I mean, unless it's some of those people that Morgan and Alicia and everybody met on the road, and they do some kind of thing with that. But I just don't think so. I think they'll just have a Lydia. But and that's an interesting thing, because Henry didn't look like he aged a day. I mean, Judith looks like she's going to third grade at this point, but it doesn't look like Henry aged at all. And I know it's only a year in real time. They just keep switching actresses, child actresses out for Judith to show age advancement and stuff like that. But everyone thought that Henry was going to be the new Carl. And maybe they do something like that. Maybe Lydia does get introduced, and then because I've heard reports that after the middle of this, or at the end of the first half of this upcoming season, they're going to do another time jump. So maybe that's going to be the case. Maybe they'll do another time jump, and then kind of bring Henry up in age, and bring Lydia up in age. Maybe they'll introduce Lydia as kind of younger than she is. Yeah, but that's it. That's kind of all the time I have. It does feel really nice to talk Walking Dead again. It feels really nice to talk Fear the Walking Dead again. Of course, I will be I'll be back every week talking. When Fear the Walking Dead's back in August, you can guarantee a review weekly, talking about Fear. It's just, during the off season, I made some promises to try to keep this up as much as possible. But I was just, complete honesty, I was just bummed out a little bit, Deadheads. It was just kind of wearing on me, and just everyone, saying, oh, the show's done, and I started kind of buying into that. So I got a little bit of fire lit back underneath me because of the trailer and everything, because it does look pretty fun. Either way, Andrew Lincoln or not, I am pretty excited to see what they do. Before August is kind of right around the corner, so we'll be jumping back into Fear reviews in no time. But before that, I think right after Comic-Con, maybe to clean up all the other news that might come out during the con, I do want to have Zeus Tuber back on, just to discuss, now that we have facts, make another re-prediction of where the season's going to go. And it's always great to bounce off ideas from Alec, because he, I'm sure if you found me, you know who Zeus Tuber is, because Zeus Tuber is just absolutely fantastic. And it's always great talking Walking Dead with someone that loves Walking Dead. And he definitely, he gets frustrated just like the rest of us, and he even took a giant hiatus, but he's back making content again. So that's great. Again, just rest in peace, John Schnepp. Just absolutely terrible. Just awful news today, but just, the world is a little bit less sweaty. And if you know anything about John Schnepp, you'll get the reference. But until next time, Deadheads, spread the disease, and we'll see you next time.